What's up, card fighters? BOTCG here, and because of Triple Drive Booster, the little extra booster that we got, like a ton of really needed reprints. At first I thought like most of the reprints are kind of garbage, but I'm looking at it from the perspective of a person that already has the cards, and they're not really reprinting. Like, basically these reprints weren't for me, except when it comes to the blasters. Like, these were like very good reprints. For the longest time, I just couldn't get my hands on the blaster promos just because I couldn't justify like spending $50 or like $100 per card. But this is my baby, man, back in the day, bro. This is my Phantom Blaster Overlord deck, and after playing it at locals, y'all can check out the videos on the channel. I know I did the misplay of not sacrificing the Blaster Dark from Clovis's effect. But that was the only misplay. I read the card. I literally read the card, and then I guess my brain just like fogged on that part of the effect. But after playing the deck and after reading some of you guys' comments, talking to you guys in the comment section of these videos, I updated it to where I got the deck to where I really like it in this format. I would still consider this a tier 3 or like lower tier strategy. I wouldn't consider this top tier, but it's the type of strategy to where you just kind of like ride, and you can say it's about a lot of decks, but it really does take advantage of the early game. It has like really good value synergies in the early game. If your opponent wants to try and race you, or you're fighting another very aggressive deck, you could just kind of like hit them low before they even get a chance to get up off the ground. But going on, we're using the Blaster Dark Ride line here instead of the Marin and Wingle grade 1 and 0, is just because this top decks, there's a lot of times where like you can get like a really good top call off of this. You can get either your PBD, which is not a bad top call off of this because you could soul charge it from the drop zone. You can get a Skull Witch Nemen, which can help you get a PBD from your hand into soul. You can get Emmeline is just from hand, so Emmeline's not a good top deck off of this. But you can get some really good top decks off of this. Drilling Angel's a good top deck off of this, and etc. So that's really the only reason why we are playing this, just because there is that like RNG of just like increasing what you can do on your turn 2. Getting into the deck, the only reason we're playing this is because you're a newie. That's literally the only reason. Plus, your deck really, you really, how do I explain this? There is no late game with this deck. You really can't go to late game with this deck because you're just eating up your rear guards very haphazardly, more often than not. Sometimes you'll have to call over certain cards. You're not really good at generating a board and keeping a board generated. You're good at like short bursts of generating a board and eating the board immediately. So yeah, like it's really good protection effect because decks that like mass like retire is just like a really bad matchup for this. You're gonna have to play like way more conservatively than you really want to. 3 copies of Persona Ride. Persona Ride is really important in this deck. You can search it off of Emmeline, so that's very clutch as well. But yeah, you really do want a Persona Ride just to hit those key threshold numbers. 4 copies of Phantom Blaster Dragon. You can run 3 if you really want to. I just want the consistency of seeing this card. That's why I personally run the 4. Yeah, that's way better. That's way better, so I'm just going to stay away from that area. Yeah. Moving on to the grade 2s. We're playing... The grade 2s is literally like the meat and potatoes of the deck. 4 copies of Nemen. Nemen is your main way of getting your blaster, your Phantom Blaster Dragon into soul. And it's like just like really good advantage of just drawing 2, like throwing away a card you don't need for 2 fresh cards, which is really good. And she's a body on top of that. 4 copies of Emmeline. Like, the heart and soul of all blaster decks is because she's like top 5 for any blaster. You could call it to rearguard for free. It's a soul blast and shielding works from hand, but you could call it to rearguard for free or add it to your hand for a discard. It's just really good. Like, again, this searches for your Persona Ride, searches for your Phantom Blaster Dragons. I guess those are like literally the only main deck blasters we're running now. I was running more main deck blaster darks just for the funny combo of going double Clovinia. I guess it's not Clovis, it's Clovinia. Double Clovinia with double blaster dark to get more draft checks on the rear guard, but that never happened. And there wasn't really a situation where I could force that to happen. It's like the perfect storm, and I don't think the end result is too crazy unless you get like mad triggers off of it. But 4 copies of Clovinia. Clovinia is just clutch by itself just because she counts as 2 retires for your Vanguard's ability. That by itself makes Clovinia like so good in this deck. I just wish that she could hit numbers by herself. That's one of the main reasons why you kind of need Persona Red in this deck, is because Clovinia by herself does not hit numbers. And she's what gives your Blaster Dark a drive check for a discard, but at the end of that battle you have to retire that Dark, which is not really too much of a neg, because there was times where like if I wasn't running the extra Blaster Darks at locals, that I was like, man, like how do I get this Dark off the board, or I'm gonna have to swing with this Dark first to get it off the board. 4 copies of Drilling Angel. You really only play this, again, like the consistency of getting your Phantom Blaster Dragon into Soul, and sometimes you could just like high roll RNG into getting a Clovinia, into getting a Nemain, etc. Then 3 copies of Spiral Cutie. I was running 4 in the original list. I chose to cut a copy of Spiral Cutie to max out on Drilling Angel just for having the consistency of gaining that crit on my Vanguard on my turn 3 turn. But Spiral Cutie's nuts in this deck. Like, the discard is free, literally, because you don't care about Soul in this deck that much. The only thing that Soul Blasts is Emmeline. But yeah, the discard is free, and her ability, you can get it off basically for free as well, because the only thing that counterblasts is your Blaster Dark and your Nemain, and that's it. Those are the only things that counterblast in this deck. And then for our last grade 2, we're playing 1 copy of Maple. This can be the grade 1 Maple. I'm not too sure if I should just play like, if I should maybe cut a Phantom Blaster Dragon, or maybe cut a Drilling Angel for a grade 1 Maple. But this can be like interchangeable, grade 2 or grade 1 Maple. She's just like, you're just basically playing her for more food. That's you're more food for your retires, because when you don't have your Clovinias, man, that retire 2 starts to hurt really bad. And then 2 copies of the Topaz Cat. This is so free in this deck. It's so like, if you Persona Ride once, it's so easy to resolve 2 of these. Like, this is like just such a good card for this deck. 3 DPGs, and then 1 Blitz Order PG for the Stride deck sets, or the decks that gain triple drive. There's really nothing much to say there. Moving on to the triggers. Blue OT. Blue OT here. I've always been a fan of blue over red. You can run red, but blue, in my personal opinion, like, you don't have to commit as much for blue. Blue is good no matter what situation you check it in, where red requires you to have like a little bit more setup, because ideally you want to use red to restand a rear guard instead of drawing a card and calling a card from hand. And it's like, you play blue just for the crit. Like, the add a card back from the bin barely comes up for me. The crit, though, always comes up. And like, you can't always guarantee that you'll be able to get like your best card from the bin, which is ideally a perfect guard. But like, more often than not, I do check this. I don't have a PG in there. I just, more often than not, just grab like a free 15 shield and like have a great day. But yeah. 3 copies of the Effect Fronts, and 4 copies of the Into Soul crits. Better to need them than not have them, than to better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. This deck doesn't really need the Blade Feathers, but I was just playing it because I wasn't sure if I needed them or not. I haven't run into a situation where I did need them. Maybe like I'll have a 21k column with a grade 3 and a grade 1 that it'll come up, but that's the reason why we are playing them. If you don't have them, don't sweat it. 4 vanilla crits and 4 vanilla heals. The reason that we're running The reason I'm running the effect fronts over the draws, even though the draws do seem good in this deck because you don't really generate that huge of a hand because you're discarding a lot for your effects off of your Clovinia and off of Emmeline. The draws just help you deck out, which your deck velocity is very high in this deck, so you and you're very offensive versus you don't have a lot of cards in hand. I'm sorry, I don't have the best way to explain it, but you don't have a lot of cards in hand, so more often than not, you're a very aggressive and offensive deck, so this helps you in offense and defense. That's my personal reasoning for running them. I've just had experience with this deck in the past, whereas draw triggers, same thing with Barrel Magnus, draw triggers were just not it for me personally. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. We're very close to that 1K sub goal, man. We're insanely close. We are literally 30-ish subs away from 1,000 subscribers, guys. I can't believe it. I'm gonna just start churning out content like I used to. Be ready for Divine Z videos. I know I've been kind of molding on that for a while, but you're gonna see some Divine Z videos coming out very soon, so be on the lookout for that. And we are going to have our channel mat giveaway. We're gonna be giving out a insane amount of those mats. I think either maybe 10, 15, or 20 of those to subscribers. So yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. If you don't know what that is, check out the channel banner and hit that sub notification bell on your way out. Anyways, later. Y'all have a great night.